Hello.
Hi.
Hey. Welcome to our second stream. This experiment continues. Today we would like to focus on American Truck Simulator. So we hope to discuss the questions that may come via chat. We plan to show you some of the stuff that we are working on. We plan to also show you the current hot topic in the community, our World of Trucks event dedicated to reopening Highway 1 in California. And you may see that there's a lot of people here today in the chat, in the stream. A lot of people wanted to attend. There is a group of SCS developers. We're also happy to once again be hosted with our friends at Gamekeepers CZ, Czech streamers who are quite popular in the Czech fan community of Sims. And in our case, as we still don't have our own studio in SCS office, we took advantage of their kind offer to use their pro facilities for reaching our audience this way. So we'll take turns. Different people will switch places behind the steering wheel. Different people will be answering the questions. We hope you'll have fun joining us for a while. And let's start with something for the visual thing. We thought that maybe, as it's currently very much a popular thing,
Especially in multiplayer, right?
We thought we would start with a drive through the section of Highway 1 that currently the community is rebuilding, is cleaning up the landslide in California. Just to celebrate the effort, the effort of the fan community, and then we'll switch to the new stuff and to answering the questions. So welcome again. Maybe we should introduce ourselves so that you know who we are dealing with. I'm Pavel. I'm the managing director of SCS, and I would like to now finally give a chance to speak also to the other guys in the group.
So hi, I'm Thomas from YouTube and Twitch channel Gamekeepers CZ, and it's great to be here with SCS.
So hello, I'm Mikito. I'm from Gamekeepers CZ channel, and we are really excited that we can stream with SCS.
Hello, I'm Kartu. I'm working with some part of our community in SCS. So some of you may know me. And I give out another guy.
Hi, I'm Andrzej and I'm a map lead on ATS.
Hi everybody, I'm Patrick and I'm map designer on ATS.
And hi, I'm Timmy. And this is my note. And I'm doing everything like from PR and everything else.
Did you steal
just
the
kidding.
duck?
Yes, I stole the duck.
Do we have any questions or something already?
No, because I'm not reading it.
You're not reading the chat yet.
Maybe we should start.
Okay, let's start.
Okay.
Let's do the work.
So let's switch places for the first time. Okay. 100%.
Okay.
Thomas will be doing the driving part.
Yeah.
Event.
Yeah, and I'll be answering your curious question.
So currently we are in the game, and we will complete the cargo from current event. And
Operation Big Sur.
yes. So let's go.
So maybe we could talk about current statistics. Do you have some numbers over there? Like how are the players progressing? Or? No?
Looks like it doesn't. The last number I remember was like 770.
Actually, we are way
70,000.
past 100,000.
Really?
Yeah, 110,000.
So 1/5 of the quota is completed. That's
The
amazing.
event is going much faster than we anticipated. We thought the community would take a month and now we think it may take a week. So we underestimated the interest of the event.
So good job, guys.
Yeah, thank you for your efforts and for joining this event.
Oh, and we will record to the stream this time, so no need to worry about this.
Okay, so since we have no question yet, or Tim is just going through them, I think Patrick can. He was the guy who created the map of the Big Sur, the landslide. So maybe he can tell us something about the process. Or
Yeah, it was pretty funny when basically it all starts when on the map rescale, and Jupiter, the guy who was used to be leader of the 3D models. Basically, you might remember old content before rescale, and that there was some new content around content around the landslide. Before the place, reminding something after landslide. Yeah.
okay, we can change topic because we already have some questions here, and the first one is addressed on me. What's my favorite part of the ATS world? Of what am I the most proud of? Yeah, because we are finishing the Oregon right now, and Oregon is the best work we've done yet. So I think my favorite parts are gonna be there. Because it's still fresh in my mind and we are still working on it, and it's hard to pick one particular place because what's beautiful on Oregon, it's really diverse. The landscape, it goes from lush forests to wide deserts. Yeah, and I think that of course the shore, that's the most scenic stuff. So I think the shore of the Oregon is something players can looking forward to, because graphics guys, they really outdone themselves, and it looks really nice. Okay, another question. Will there be the entire USA at the end? We hope so. It depends only on the amount of time and dedication. Yeah, so.
Maybe I should chip in.
Yeah.
We're actually working very, very hard to expand our company, our team, and American truck team as well. We have already covered it in our blog and elsewhere. We are expanding the office space, and we are on our way to hire dozens of more developers to the team. American Truck Simulator ultimately should grow, the team should grow to full-fledged 3 teams working on 3 states in parallel, this is still some ways in the distance. We are not there quite yet, but we are already moving in multiple directions on research, on pre-production. So this is not something far off. This is something that will happen in a reasonable time frame. So while Oregon is being worked on, we already have pre-production on more stuff, and stuff should be happening faster than what you were used to. It will no longer be just one DLC per year. On American Truck Simulator, definitely we'll speed up the pace so that we can all live long enough to to survive till we cover the continent. The commitment is even bigger. The game is not intentional. It's not called US Truck Simulator. We call it American Truck Simulator because we don't want to limit ourselves ultimately just to the continental US. We know that we have a ton of players in Canada. We know we have a lot of fans in Mexico too. So we would like to cover also the north and south of the continent, not just the continental US. So that's even more of a ambition and plan ultimately to do it all. So for that we need to really beef up, we need to really grow, and we are working on it as much as we can. We throw anything we can into teaching new people new stuff, finding new map designers, finding new artists. So keep your fingers crossed that we manage this growth and sustain this pace.
Okay, so we've got another question, and it's quite specific. Can we get longer trains in ATS? US freight trains are much longer than what we have. Well, the length of our trains, AI trains, is based or is limited by some technical limitations, because we have to spawn them somewhere, and it should be out of the player's view, field of view. But I think programmers and vehicle guys made some tweaks to the trains, and they are quite longer than they used to be, so I think players can also look forward to that. Another question is, might California cities along Route 66 get revisited? Well, we are constantly revisiting the old map. We are fixing bugs and tweaking and correcting old mistakes, even adding new content. So there are no concrete plans like revisiting directly Route 66, but players can look forward to some tweaks and additions in the base map. This question, I don't know if anyone here will be able to answer it. When you will add truck cables in traffic?
I know.
Yeah, you know. You know everything, so...
I know. I have been in a meeting today where we're discussing this. Actually simplified, but very, very nicely looking connecting cables will be in the next update of the game. This has already been resolved. So both games will receive cables, visible cables for the AI trucks as well, not just the player's truck. So to complete the impression of nicely looking vehicles all around you, this is important too. Fortunately, the implementation, as I've heard, is not too demanding on frame rate. The truck cables in your own vehicle are physics based, and there's a lot of calculations, a lot of computations done to make them work properly. For the AI vehicles, they are simplified but still looking very well, so you can look forward to this feature indeed.
Okay. I think you can follow up with the answer to the next question, if there is one. how soon will the new trucks be? So
Yeah. I think I'll have
It's a
some
hard question.
more talking than I was planning to do.
we can switch places.
Actually, we have some very good news. We already have signed one new license, but I will not name the names yet. We have already signed another new license. All the details of the vehicle just right, all the sizes and properties. So one deal, one license has been just signed. Another one is in very much advanced stage of negotiation, finally after so many years of trying. And we have a third one that's also quite far ahead in the discussion. So we were stuck for so much time with just two brands. Now we can confirm finally that a third one is definitely coming, a fourth one is almost coming. And a fifth group is also very promising. In some cases, this is more brands under the same umbrella, under the same corporate parent. So if all this happens, we should pretty much have all of the US major 7 brands covered. That's now the vision, that's the goal for the next, how to say, maybe 18 months, 24 months. You know how quick or how fast or how slow it's possible to build a new truck. Usually our vehicle designer team needs about too many years to build a new vehicle with all the details, all the tuning, all the chassis variants, all the paints and all the toys and everything. So we should be able to work on 3 or 4 vehicles in parallel ultimately. That would occupy all of the senior guys in the team. So if we have up to maybe 8 vehicles now lined up in the optimistic variant, it may take up to 2 years to build this all. But the good news is that we are starting. We'll be starting very soon. And you will see us reporting on the progress finally. We were intentionally silent about the licensing situation. The talks are very sensitive and we didn't want to say anything publicly that would endanger our discussions with the manufacturers. But now you will hear more from us about this topic, definitely.
I think it would be better if you answer them, because I'm here only for the map stuff.
Oh yeah.
So
there's a question about it, right? Here. The first one.
Can you add the big truck stops in California and Nevada? It's basically the same question as with the revisiting of the Route 66. We are constantly returning or revisiting the old map and fixing old mistakes and polishing things up. So yes, there are no concrete plans like for doing this, but we might get around it sometime.
We are still slowly redesigning the junctions, because at the places we were used to use like old giant prefabs, we switched them into the new Lego junctions, or how to call them.
Custom junctions.
Yeah, custom junctions. Yeah. The one that will definitely be released in the next update is gonna be on the Interstate 80 north of Sacramento. The crossing with Interstate 5 and 80. It's already redesigned and it waits to be released. So you can be looking forward for that.
Bit by bit, when we are advancing our tools and tech, we are somehow trying to correct the less realistic stuff. So yeah, in some time maybe we will get to add the big truck stops to California.
Yeah, you can see us redesigning the Germany in all the Euro trucks. So I think we can say that one day, we don't know when, but one day we will polish the California also.
Taky možná na Patrika, ty markingy, to by bylo
Andre and Patrick are there.
Next question is in Oregon and future map expansions. So will there be more detailed adds to road markings and road signs to make it even more accurate to the real life version? So it's a new
road.
I think our sign system is in constant development, and we are trying to make it more and more true to life. And yeah, we are running into many technical difficulties because as the signs get more complex and more real, it's harder to manage them and to create every unique navigation sign. But we are trying to, and yeah, Patrick, you can.
I read
tell us
like
something about
700 pages of document called like manual on unification guide signs or traffic devices, and it's very promising with more detailed navigation signs and guide signs, and even traffic signs gotta be more sophisticated. Yeah. But yeah, it's a long trip to reach our target. We are of course we are not a sign simulator, but we really want to have true to life signs over the US.
It's fair to admit that when we released American Truck, it was a bunch of Europeans portraying the US through their eyes, thinking that the logic of the road signs is kind of similar. We learned very soon from feedback of the community and from our own research that the initial take on our road markings and road signs was not so correct. So the guys did hard work on research, and in the new updates of the game, you will see us revisiting individual segments of the road. Replacing the signs, especially along the intersections, along the interconnections.
Yeah.
That's the name. So this is also kind of work in progress, but the nice thing about growing our knowledge, our know-how, growing our team, is that we always can get better, and as we get better, we admit to the old issues and we owe up to them and we improve.
Hi.
They're watching. Another question from map designers. Are there any specific states or regions that we are looking for? Well, America is large and really a country full of interesting places and possibilities, so I think like with the movie, you cannot pick your one favorite place or think looking forward to, so we are always looking to the next thing. So right now the states surrounding our current map are the things we are looking forward to, and of course we'd like to get to the other side of the continent, and yeah, it's hard to answer this. Like there is nothing in the map that we are not looking forward to. And the next question is, when will we hear more about special transports in ATS?
Well, special transport for ATS is pretty different animal from European special transport. So the team responsible for it is working hard, but we don't have any firm date yet. Maybe sooner, it may be later, depends on lots of new functions we are planning for it. I think we can't say any much more for now.
Actually, we plan to show you some bit of it in our today's stream. So while we have quite packed release calendar currently planned for the second half of the year. So we definitely want to squeeze it in, make it alive through testing all of this in parallel. So hopefully it's a couple of months away from release, but we're not sure yet when it's going to be in a state that we would consider finalized and ready for release. We always try to release things when they are done, not sooner, not later.
Another question is, stays per DLC, or what's the plan? It's a tricky question.
This is still a little ways in the future. Definitely some of the states like New England region or places like Rhode Island, they are so tiny that they wouldn't work on their own as an independent economical region to play inside in the scale of our world. So most likely we want to keep each state to give it its own identity in the world, but probably they would be bunched up or bundled into reasonably sized areas to make them worthwhile for release and for playing. But for now, the states are the size is suitable for releasing them one by one. Texas will be a little tough to do. Texas is quite large, so that may take us a lot of time and effort. But any other states we are looking at right now are close to the size that we have already experienced with, so we can release them for now one by one.
Next question is, will left on red be kept in mind for the states that have it, such as Idaho?
Left on the red.
Left on red, I've never heard.
I heard about right on red,
Yeah.
but not about left on red. But if
It doesn't
it's true
make
in
much
Idaho, we
sense.
will have it in game. I can say.
I think the AI programmers and the guys in charge of the rules of the road would definitely be aware of any specific local specifics and cover them in gameplay.
Yeah, they would be able to manage
As crazy as
any
it sounds
direction
for me.
on red, so...
Yeah. But it's still based on research. I think we are still reading the forums and discussions about our games, and sometimes we learn from that. So if you write some topic about specific specifications on the different states, we will catch it and we will most probably have it in a game if we would know it. That's the most important, to know it.
Okay, now there are two similar questions with a different topic, and it's cabin accessories and ATS. What about them? I
Cabin
think
accessories.
people are really thrilled about the
there are
excavator plush toy. So
Well, there are multiple angles to this problem or challenge. First of all, was when we were researching and reading up on what's legal or not legal in the cabin of a truck, we were scared of the legal limitations in cabins of American trucks. That supposedly the police or any legal bodies enforcing that the drivers are legal in the cabin are quite harsh on junk in the cabin. In fact, even the dashboards are designed so that there's no place basically to put standing toys easily into the cabin of a truck. Unlike European vehicles where there is usually some flat surface to put a can on or a cup or a toy, there's not so much of that close to the windshield. So we were struggling with, do we have enough space, and do we have enough legal justification to put toys that would be put on the dashboard? So what we dared to do were a few hanging things, as you've seen through the various rewards from events. But we were not sure yet if we should really put a lot of material into the cabin. That day when we dare might come though. The other aspect to it is that as the game, we have to admit, as the game is not feature complete when it comes to the number of brands, number of manufacturers involved, I felt kind of shy for pushing a lot of auxiliary stuff, a lot of add-ons on top of the base content when there is still not enough of the core content. I would feel like we may be accused of trying to milk the customer base with not so important non-core stuff, while we are still taking time with the core stuff. So once there's more trucks, once there is more content, we'll dare more to come with cosmetics and to add these kind of secondary objective things. If there is a huge demand for it, if we hear a lot of requests coming our way, we may reconsider, but we were really postponing on this cosmetic stuff until we have more of the core content to feel like be more justified for putting it in, rather than being in a hurry to ask you for paying, even if it's not so much that we ask for, to ask you for paying money for extras when you're still waiting for what we are committed to give you as the core content.
Okay, next question. This one is interesting. Will Oregon's or further out New Jersey's lack of self-serve gas stations be referenced? Well, we obviously know about this, and we had few discussions about how to tackle this issue, but in the end, in our game, the visit of the gas station is kind of abstract, and right now in Oregon we have no concrete plans to make any changes. It will function the same as in the base map. So, but in the future, maybe.
Yeah, we are very close to landslide right now. We will be there in like a few seconds.
So you can tell us some funny story about development. Like how many bugs did you have to fix till it was done?
Yeah,
or?
Basically, as we are still in a rush to give the players as much content as we can. It's my sin from the past. Yeah, I had to polish the whole road from Santa Cruz to down to the Oxnard. There were lots of bugs, like around 100 bugs, I remember. So in the next update, when the landslide will be removed and the road will be reconnected,
if the players manage to clear it out,
yeah, of course. The visual quality will be slightly higher. I was thinking about how the players would see the surrounding about in night. So we were thinking about, do they have lamps or something like that on landslide? Do they work in the night? Because I was not sure. Nobody wrote anything about that.
There are usually some lamps on the building sites, so I guess it won't be different.
But
But
we have to make it work.
We had to make it work,
yeah,
and
we place them there.
yeah, there are some lamps.
Yeah, we gathered various references. We saw some drone footage from the site, and
It's the best
Yeah.
guess we managed to get.
so it would work in our game and gameplay wise. So it of course is stylized and not fully in 1-to-1 scale. Oh yeah, this is gonna be tricky maneuver.
Yeah.
Everybody's holding their breath.
Are you feeling stressed that you have to? We talk about this famous Czech streamer showing the game, and now you would prove not to be able to maneuver in a tight place.
Hardest difficulty. It's
and
dedication.
okay.
Complex event yet,
Yeah.
because it involved a change in the map, paint jobs from graphics guys, lots of tweaks from programmers, implementing it with World of Trucks. It's paint jobs from graphics guys, lots of tweaks from programmers, implementing it with World of Trucks. It's the first community event.
It's the first shared goal event for the community, and it's way more popular than we anticipated. Thanks for all your hard work and all the fantastic engagement. It's certainly very gratifying for the team, but also quite stressing for the team, because this is not. We don't have a dedicated team that just is responsible only for the events. These guys are actually programming the core functionality of the future World of Trucks system, which is way more ambitious than just events. So any success on the events is actually always a danger that we'll ask them to do more on future events, or make them more frequent, or make them deeper. We will want to hop from American Truck to Euro Truck again. Then we'll have something unique for Christmas for sure. So I wouldn't reveal yet any secrets, but there will be more cool events for sure.
I would just add that this being the first community event, there is also a giveaway on Truckers FM, which help us promote this. So if you tweet your screenshots from this event, delivering or driving away, and with hashtag Big Sur, while tagging us, SCS, and Truckers FM, you might win one of those DLCs. I don't know what else we gave Truckers FM.
Actually, the incredible thing is that they managed to finance not all of, but most of it out of their pocket. They are giving away just Steam wallet money, basically. So we gave them a few keys, but a lot of the stuff is their heart poured into, and their wallet kind of proving their word. by them donating fantastic prizes on their own. So these are very generous guys. They are fantastic. We love them. We sometimes give them a T-shirt or two, but ultimately this is a great team that I would, listening to their station, I would say are very professional already, and they want to prove it. They want to make a dent in the community. So hi once again to the DJs and on the staff of Truckers FM, because they're fantastic.
They're great. Yeah.
They're great.
Oh, and there was an interesting question. Can we expect Oregon sooner than we saw the New Mexico DLC? Well,
Okay,
you
so
just, I mean, we can
When
actually
we
watch
finish
the
the
video,
job.
I think.
yeah, I guess so.
Yeah,
Because the
it could be interesting.
Okay, let's show
the
people-
excavator was delivered.
Okay.
Okay.
So one more job for the shared community effort, and then we'll switch to
Or
footage from.
maybe I would maybe put the video now.
Okay, let's do
Yeah.
it.
There are more.
Okay, let's do it. I'm already sweating in this chair. So. And yeah, there was some nice heads up from Not Wonder. Hi guys, in relation to self-service fuel in Oregon, diesel is exempt from the rule, so the current way as it is implemented is the correct way. So
this was
thank you for
just
the
for passenger
for
cars.
the tip. Yeah. So okay, we are already watching the footage from footage from Oregon, and here you can see our new industry, the lumber industry, and we are transporting I guess some logs from how do you say, to the timber site, lumber from the part of the forest where you gather the wood, and I think we are transporting it to some lumber mill, so they can process the logs and make some wooden planks from them. And yeah, this road is pretty nice, so we can enjoy it and see the new nice nature of Oregon around.
I think this will be the visual answer to the question we are seeing here. How different is Oregon compared to current maps? In some parts quite different, because we're getting further north and the nature is changing a lot, so there's way more variety finally in the game compared to the more desert-like places in the south. And of course Oregon, to me, seeing the various bottlenecks and the risks in production, for me the big question is if you guys manage to portray Portland just right, because it's a major city that is connected, it's kind of on the boundary of on the river next to Washington State, so all the vistas, all the visuals will be complicated there.
Mm-hmm.
So ultimately this is going to be an interesting topic, maybe not to show today, but to
Some
counter-
future stream.
some future stream. Yes.
In this video we will focus on the nature and new rough roads, because players were asking that, or they were saying that the smooth highways are quite boring, so we listened and added quite a few forest roads, because forest industry and lumber industry is a big thing in Oregon, so you can look forward to that. Okay. I think I'll answer another question while we are driving through the woods. When do you think you guys can implement parallel map teams? It's already happening. Like right now, we are in the process of splitting people into different teams, and I think we will be able to work on parallel stuff. So
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
As far as I know, while we are finishing Oregon, there has been some work done already on laying new road networks for 2 more DLC. We still consider it pre-production. It's not fully staffed team. It's just the core stuff that's been doing some early layout work and some early experiments on new types of intersection or new types of geometry that we want to explore for the regions. So while Oregon is going to be polished in the next few months, certainly a small group will already go into another direction. So we already have some overlap between finishing an upcoming DLC and ramping up for production of another one. And by the time Oregon is finally released, we should have 2 full-fledged teams pretty much work in 2 directions, or 2 connections from the existing regions. So we are already well on the way to have parallel teams.
And follow-up question for the Oregon: is it a paid DLC?
Yes.
Fortunately, fortunately for us, it is. It's a lot of work to create a new state. Currently, correct me if I'm wrong, but currently 14 map designers, 15 map designers.
Yeah, and when we are sprinting to the finish, the team was the number of people in team was quite ramped up. So we will be able to deliver it as fast as possible, but right now it's about 14 people. Yeah.
So just the map design, the people clicking the roads, the cities, placing the prefabs, placing the buildings, the landmarks. This is like 14, 15 people working for the past 3 quarters of a year. And on top of it, we have people dedicated to building the intersections, building the buildings. So up to over 30 people, I guess, are involved just in creation of the content. Then you have to think testers, you have to think programmers, AI guys who work on this. So ultimately, this is quite a lot of people we have to keep in the team and support them and their families on working on the content. So yes, I would say fortunately for us, unfortunately for some of you who hoped to get it easily, this is going to be a paid DLC. We have some little stuff here and there that we definitely will give you for free. We have this commitment of releasing new trucks into the game world for free, but when it comes to sizable pieces of content like state, new regions, new states, these are going to be paid DLC. We may be creative about some bundles and some smart ways to get them cheaper through various means, but ultimately this is paid content.
Okay. So yeah, I will comment on what is happening on the screen. Right now, this one job was quite a short one. It was just from the forest to the lumber mill, and as you can see here, our approach to creating the docks or the company prefabs in our game, we try to improve it. So the surroundings and the environment of the docks right now is much more detailed, and the lots of the companies and the area when the player will make the deliveries is now much more real and true to life. Yeah. Here we can see that the grounds of the company it's a lot better than it used to be. And I will try to answer another question. How many people did you have working on ETS2 and ATS 6 months ago? What about now? And how many do you plan to have 6 months from now on? I can speak only for the ATS team, and in last 6 months the team was doubled. Oregon started with like 7 people, and right now the 14 are finishing it.
Yeah, well, it's fair to say that some of the newbies will need some training and a few months of just experimenting before they become productive. So it's not automatically doubling our proficiency or efficiency. At the same time, it even takes time from the seniors to educate the newbies, but it's an investment into the long run to grow the team size, to grow the experience. This way there will be more growth. Basically the company is now about 120 people, 125 even as of now, plus some external contractors working from us, even from abroad. Maybe up to 150 people currently contribute across both of our major projects, and the split is about half and half, 50-50 basically between the two games. It's not so easy to claim that some of the particular positions are dedicated to just one game. We have programmers supporting both projects pretty much equally. We have the testing group, which is also equally supporting both American Truck and Euro Truck. So just the core production team, the core group of people making the content is over 30 for both projects, and the rest is basically creating new gameplay, programming it, testing it, doing any PR activities,
new tools for us content creators.
So the goal for now is, as we said, we are from September onwards, we should have another about 1,000 square meters of extension of our current office. So room for about 50 up to 60 more people. It's not like we need to hire or we dare to hire them all immediately, but we'll have the room for more, and we are looking some 20-30. We'll see 30 people within the next half a year, 8 months, ideally. This is a huge growth. Again, this will mean a lot of people from the senior team will have to dedicate their time to training the new people, even at the expense, unfortunately, of producing new stuff for the time. But we think it's worth it to invest into more capacity as soon as possible, so that we can benefit from this larger team, or both larger teams, in the foreseeable future.
Yeah, and right now we are seeing another footage from Oregon, and I think it can pretty illustrate the thing that the environment in Oregon is really diverse. It's not just deep forest and muddy roads, but it's also about some open landscape. Yeah, and double trailers are allowed in Oregon, so players can also be happy about it. Sometimes it's tricky to drive them through the narrow, windy roads.
Okay, trading places. Sorry.
Okay, in the meantime I will try to answer another question. Will ATS get more automatic gates like ETS2? Yes.
We just passed through one, right?
Yeah. So yeah, that's simple. The new prefabs, they have this function implemented. So
Sometimes
you're gonna see a lot more of that.
Sometimes features originate, the ideas for them or the push for them originates with one of the teams, and then the second team for the other game is inspired to bring them also to their world. So very often the American truck team, as it used to be smaller and more kind of agile because of that, dared to open new features. Like I think the special events were first the random events.
Yeah, the random events, the
originally
roadside stuff.
Push from American truck team. So the game got them first before Euro Truck caught up. The problem with the European world is also that as it's more states, more countries, and more different markings, more different types of police cars and everything, it's more. It takes more time to implement it all across all of the regions that we have covered in Europe. So American truck team sometimes may dare to push ahead as their life simpler, putting in new features. This was a case that actually the Euro Truck team had the moving gates first, but then we are catching up here in the ATS with these cool features.
It usually depends on when in the time of development of the project the idea for the new feature come, and I think in time that we decided to make the moving gates, the prefabs for the ATS were already completed. So and we reused the old docks from the base game, and but in the future with the addition of new companies and new docks, we will implement this feature more. Another question. What stuff is shared between the games? Are there shared assets? I mean, we share the same engine, the same tools.
Sometimes some vegetation, I would say.
Yes, so some generic assets can be traded between, like some rocks or some vegetation, but I think like 99% of the assets is unique for each game.
Yeah. But the skybox, sorry, say more. What else can you say? The pure amount of work that would have to go into this game is insane. Yeah, it is. Thank you. Could you give an estimate of how many hours you've put into this? Oh, that would be really hard math. Like, I don't know how many man hours. A lot.
I think we have this unique method of management and accounting of the teams that we intentionally do not have really detailed statistics because it would be scary and it would kind of
it will lower the morale.
It will lower the morale of the team if they know that they have a very limited, strictly limited budget, time-wise or money-wise. They would tend to do compromises where maybe they shouldn't do them. So we have this kind of iterative process where we look at one stage of the project and think, can we add more? Can we put more detail here? Should we have some high priority and low priority roads and areas to build? And they are added as we allow for more time for the project. So we do not want to say ahead of starting a project, okay, this is definitely going to be, I don't know, usually we count in man months. This is going to be 100 man months for the map team, and that's it. You cannot just cross this line. This is your limitation. We make an estimate, we adjust it as we go, and then we never look back basically because we think it's worth it to to just finish it to the full vision that we started with, or that we even kind of adjusted along the way to be once again to push the envelope to get better compared to where we were a year or two ago.
It's the same question about the will we have more content for all the states. I think we already answered that. Yeah, there's gonna be some content. I won't spoil anything. I think you're gonna be surprised.
I think in 1.32 you already have something in the other states.
We added the in the last update we added the Yosemite Park and US 84 connecting some cities in New Mexico, and in next update you can look forward to 2 new roads, and they're gonna be quite long, so it's gonna be great. Have you experimented with new dynamic weather types to add, such as fog or thunderstorms? There were some tests with sandstorms and this stuff, but this is a hard topic. The dynamic weather.
I would say that I would reveal that just recently we have established a dedicated position in the company for skybox / weather kind of research experiments focus. It's not like it's going to be immediately bringing necessarily some major changes, but this is something that was a little overlooked as we were pushing for more trees, more rocks, more buildings. We have to also dedicate programming and design focus on the effects. So we are looking into it. Fog, thick fog especially, is high on my own personal wish list, because I think it would bring more interesting, change to the established formula. So definitely guys will look into this one. We'll see what more we can do. We definitely want to improve the visuals some more, and weather patterns are a big part of that.
Yeah, I think thick fog would be really nice here on this scenic view. You wouldn't be able to see it. So right now this was one of my favorite views, and players can expect a lot more views like this in the Oregon. Using the new tools. The new brush, we used to call them stamps tool, and with new terrain tools we were able to create much more detailed and nicer terrains and landscape. I think it's apparent from the footage.
The biggest challenge in regards to making Oregon, I think it's like the contrast of the country, because it's not the same. We were used to make, like, Arizona was mostly desert, and New Mexico there were some contrast, but the Oregon has everything, like coast, woods, some dry and
even the desert.
Yeah, even the desert. Yes.
You want to say desert?
Desert.
Desert is something you eat.
Desert. Sorry, I meant desert. Sorry, guys. Yeah, sorry.
So the variety, I think is, I think your ambition with the open vistas, as it grows, it's actually eating more and more of your time to.
Yeah, the sheer amount of content is insane. I think this is our biggest DLC road lengthwise, and the challenge was to create everything in time and to keep our quality.
Is Washington the next DLC? It's definitely on the list of where we want to be next. Logically, it's definitely one of the places where we have started some pre-production, but we would like to only reveal the next DLC after Oregon is finally done and dusted. So we don't want to make just one big hockey stick world going. We have heard complaints that everybody has to pass through Las Vegas because it's kind of connecting the two sides. So ultimately we need to push to the east as well as to the north. But for now we want to keep this secret. It's related what happens when a player doesn't own a state connected to the one they do own.
Yeah.
How would
I tried to dodge this question, but if you
it's for you.
so
if you can take it.
we still have a little bit of time to make the final implementation, make the final decision. It's related both to Europe and to the North American region. In Europe, we can still, as you may remember from our last stream, in Europe with the Baltic region, we may still connect it by ferries, but here we will end up with holes, with these connections between the new states and the old ones. We'll probably implement it through some gameplay element that will end up teleporting you and your truck across the regions that you are lacking. Of course, we would love for everybody to purchase all of the stuff so they don't have such a problem, but we have to be ready for people just buying their favorite state or states. As the game will be growing, some people will be just concerned about the Rockies or the Southwest or the North. So this is going to be a problem for us to balance everything so that you can play individual states or you can play individual regions that are disconnected. So we will have to resolve it. That's a task that we'll have to tackle reasonably soon.
Here we can see, or maybe players can notice it, that with our improved tools we are able to create even more organic or true-to-life shapes of the custom rest stops and truck stops. So it's one of it's not a new feature. Custom truck stops and rest stops were already present in the New Mexico, but in Oregon we are pushing it even further, and it would look nicer and more realistic. Another question, will there be a penalty for overweight at weigh station? Right now our game doesn't support breaking the law this way.
Well, right now the cargo that you will get will be within the regulations for the planned route, but as you may know, again from our previous stream, trailer ownership is coming and the economy is being shifted towards cargo-based, cargo-oriented economy as opposed to just having a trailer as a basic unit of the economy system. So the day is coming when you will drive to a depot for a load, and it will be up to you to decide if it's okay or not to drive it through a particular region. So not for now, not for the foreseeable future, not for this year, but such a moment will come when you will be weighted, and it will not be just a formal trivial thing in the game, but when it might bite you that you have underestimated some regulation or legal requirement. For now we don't have this in the game.
And there's a nice follow-up question, as you talked about the trailer ownership. Any plans for licensed trailers?
Well, actually, even for American Truck Simulator, we already have one trailer license lined up, a very cool brand. So this is now on the kind of production pipeline for future releases. I don't think we can squeeze it into this year's release schedule because there's a lot of work ahead of the vehicle team. We also need to grow the vehicle team. We need to grow everywhere we can. But we have one license for trailers lined up that will complement the kind of no-name trailers that we have in the game for now. And we hope to get more because we really laugh when manufacturers from the logistics and transportation industry want to be involved, and this was just such a case when we were actually approached about a chance to be in the game. So we want to have more such successful cooperations and give our players what they love about the game, that it's more and more realistic, including the brands that make up the world and make up the experience.
Can you make US state paint job DLCs? Yes, we can, but as Pavel already said, we don't want to ask for money for paint job at the time when we don't have filled the basic content.
We are holding ourselves back when it comes to paint jobs because cosmetics, we think the time for cosmetics will come.
Yeah.
Also, if we were pushing for now for paint job DLC, the state-oriented paint job DLC, we would only be making a part of the players happy if we were just following the states where we have already produced the map content. Of course, people on the East Coast would be a little bit upset about getting even less attention. If we did implement some paint jobs from the Midwest or Eastern Coast states, then people would be kind of surprised that we give them the paint job before we give them the states. So there is no good solution to this, just to kind of keep ourselves kind of in control or in check from not pushing too hard on the cosmetics. We think about some like thematic DLC like we do for Europe really slowly over the next year or so, not to push too hard again on releasing just cosmetics, but state paint jobs will probably come in a few years, not now. We see a lot of activity happening on the workshop anyway. People create fantastic paints for the modding community. It's incredible for both games. So for now, we hope that you can survive and live without state paint jobs, as we want to really focus on the core content stuff.
Yeah, and I think here we are getting closer to the end of the delivery, and there are a few things. If you can new things, if you can spot them, I think they will be visible here if the driver will turn his head. But I think he will in the next few moments. Huh. But I guess he took the wrong turn, and now he'll have to get back. So it's nice opportunity to see the city, because originally he was heading to the farm. Maybe he tried to show us the local vistas. Oh. Okay, in the meantime, another question: will you guys add more road debris for random events? Yeah, I think the random event project is it's constant work in progress. The asset and graphic team is constantly adding new stuff. So yeah, there will be some new events in Oregon. Has the I-5 in Oregon got steep mountain passes on it like in real life? Yes, it does. Yes, yes, it has. Yeah, they are quite nice and quite challenging. So yeah. This another question is again more to Pavel. SCS Software, you are talking about regulation. Have you thought about adding in-game documentation about the rules of each state so we know what is allowed? Took me long to realize why the limit in California was 55. So it's more about the...
Yeah, well, the regulation, not just American truck, especially Euro truck, where even though this is supposed to be a unified Europe, but actually there are so many different rules and little differences in traffic regulation. It's a big thing. If you wanted to go deep into simulating all this or into having all this knowledge somehow interface to the player, some of the like junior or not so dedicated players may be overwhelmed by all the detail. One day I hope, and this is my wish for the games, to be more educative than just plain driving and managing economy, to also have more geography info or more maybe regulation info available and accessible to the player as he drives or as he researches. So this is something that we will be looking into. Not sure how to explain the state regulations, but probably we should create some UI interface for that so that people can open it up for individual regions or individual states in Europe, for individual countries, to see at least what the speed limits are on highways versus local roads versus cities. Also in the US we have different states with different regulations on doubles or turnpike doubles or triple trailers. All that right now the game is aware of it internally, and it will generate the proper configuration of a trailer for you for a given pair of source and destination for the cargo. But as the game becomes more and more involved, bigger and bigger, maybe we will not be even willing to hold you by the hand all the time. Maybe we should put some hardcore mode out for giving people the challenge, also the planning the route or for choosing the tools for the transport. It's not the case for immediate future, but this is something we'll definitely be looking into in the long run.
Yeah. I will jump in just to this quick shout. As I talked before about the new thing, I was talking about water, and here we have reaction, nice water, thank you. So yeah, that's the new stuff. Right now we are able to create directional streams. We have animated foam decals and this kind of stuff. So yeah, the river streams will look much nicer. So yeah, good idea. Will there be ice roads in the future? Right now, our time of the year is kind of unspecific, around end of the summer, and our climate or the altitude above the sea isn't that high, so we would expect ice roads in this place and this time. So in the future everything is possible, but right now I think there are no concrete plans.
No, well, this is certainly definitely something in the long term. One day seasons will have to be made for both games. This is still way off, but this is the long-term ultimate truck simulator with all the imaginable features. There may be a shortcut for alternate environments or seasons or weather patterns, and this shortcut may be the World of Trucks system and the event system. We may be able to put up events that are out of the normal content, that are either changing the content temporarily, like we do with the landslide removal, that we touched up the map and did some change to it, or there may be in the future events of a very different kind where we would have a unique, smaller but like customized piece of the world for our players, where they would be facing a particular challenge, and that may involve other regions, others different scales of the map world compared to reality, and also possibly snow or crazy weather. So this is also another like attack angle that we can use to bring you more variety and more fun, as the standard map content is very demanding to create, to make sure it's well connected to the previous regions, well connected by economic relations, well connected by the road network. So we may be tempted to do unique event-based content provided to you through World of Trucks. Now I see you're struggling with the steering wheel.
Yeah, just moving it. Okay.
Yeah, fight it.
Okay, so I think we will show another content from Oregon maybe later, and right now
Another challenge.
Another challenge, and I think someone can change me here in the hot seat, because you are speaking a lot more. Not yet, but
Okay.
right now it's the best time for the transition.
Tak, jo. Hey.
Yeah.
So, next question.
Our thoughts on weekly events challenges. It may keep the player base busy and active. Wow. The current event took a lot of work to orchestrate, to make the content, to babysit the servers, to change. It's a lot of it is in the kind of the back-end database that we have to set up for the event to work. So we would like to speed up the frequency, to raise the frequency of events, but for that we need to build better tools to have dedicated events team, a dedicated lead team for organizing the events and being able to support them. So this is still kind of midterm hope for us to achieve. It will be fabulous because people obviously find events like this very entertaining. We have so much praise coming from the community that we are really overwhelmed, and it's a big commitment that we feel that we should push harder. But weekly or even bi-weekly still ways off. We will be really struggling to get them. Every few months we would like to give you an event for now. In the future we would like to have not just one-time events that just come and go and disappear in the past. We would like to turn them more into something that I would call, maybe it's not the right term, but what I would call them quests if it were a standard fantasy RPG, something that you can decide to participate in, finish, get the reward, and move on to another quest. So something that would be around for new players who appear, who discover the phenomenon of truck sims later on, so that they could still come back and replay particular events that the community has already been through a year ago. Some of them may be so unique that they will just be one-off, like this one. Once we clear the landslide, there's no way back. But some of the other events, like the French Connection in Europe or some other events, may actually be turned into something that's in our repertoire for some years to go. So that would again expand the fun for people who for whom the base gameplay is not enough, who want to have some variety. But coming back to the question, a weekly event is still something out of our dreams, I guess. This is something that maybe the frequency will grow to once a month, maybe in a year from now, or maybe 18 months from now. And as we get more experience handling this, managing it, setting it up, doing enough events to be able to plan for them even easier and have enough team capacity for that, we can dare to raise the frequency.
How about dirt and visual damage on in-game vehicles? I think that was a question of licensing. You don't want to show damage on some trucks.
Of the manufacturers, and if it was just one, but some of the manufacturers just do not want to show their vehicles damaged in any way, and have this placed all over the internet. And this is a limitation of our licenses. So too much of a damage is not very likely in the foreseeable future. However, we were repeatedly thinking about implementing some sort of getting trucks dirty and having to go to wash them.
Yeah.
So this is something that depends more on the bandwidth of the vehicle team to create another UV layer for the dirt on the vehicles, on the trailers, and for the programmers to come up with shaders that would display this. This is something in the wish list for sure, but I cannot make any promises on schedules for such a feature coming to the game. It's for sure one day it will be in the games, not in the near future.
Can we add option from fog lights? I think when we will have fog, it's possible.
That's
Isn't
more
it?
like a question for Pavel, I think.
I'm answering too many questions.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sorry. I don't have any good answer for that. Of course, the more light we put into the game, the more demanding the rendering is. If each light is being cast on the world separately, sometimes some of the things we do or do not implement, like not having shadows in the mirrors or having short viewing distances in the mirrors, which is also a frequent complaint, are basically just down to kind of protecting the game and the frame rate in the game from deteriorating beyond being playable. Having more variety of lights in the game also means higher hardware requirements, or at least pushing that direction. So we try to make as few variation as possible, not to having to combine too many different sources of the light. But again, this is something that we'll keep looking into as we add more technology into the engine, as we speed up, optimize some of the areas of the engine. It may open up venues for implementing more simulation details, including fog lights. Not for now, though. Steampunk DLC? What's Steampunk DLC? Did we release it as a part of some sort of
It
reward?
was like before the release, for joining the group. I don't think we will ever release it.
Sometimes. Sometimes we do. Like we have this.
This was before the release, so it should maybe stay really as an exclusive.
Can we keep things? That's really a bit hot debate. Can we keep things exclusive forever? Like, if you are, like, when the game was released,
Like 200,000 people have the paint job already, so.
Okay, so
It's quite a
let's
lot.
leave this question. I'll leave this answer open without an answer. Sometimes we are really bombarded a lot by players who came later to the experience, that it's unfair for them not to be able to obtain a piece of content because they love to have it all, and we keep it like inaccessible completely. So when we feel such a pressure, sometimes we reconsider, sometimes we may want to keep the exclusivity longer, so we'll see.
We were struggling with the maneuver, I saw
Yes.
that. Because I put the machine right on the corner where you wanted to
Yeah.
go.
I'll turn around somewhere else, and hopefully I will make it. Yes, maybe there.
Okay, and unfortunately I have to leave, so bye guys, it was nice answering a few questions for you, and Patrick, I think he will be able to show you some other footage from the Oregon and to say something about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have a good night. It's already 8:30 in the evening here.
Yeah, thank you.
So we are getting smaller again. Will ATS get truck tuning pack? Well, related to our answers from maybe an hour ago, we try to limit the releases of cosmetic stuff for later stages of the projects of the project. Once more of the core stuff is complete, feels complete. So most likely there will be tuning packs for ATS as well, but not in the next release cycle, not this year for sure.
We have 1900 viewers. That's a good number,
Almost
I guess.
2,000 now.
Yeah, almost 2000.
Yeah.
That's nice. Thank you guys for seeing us, for watching us.
Well, Tim is keeping all the questions to himself, it seems.
Yeah.
Like, there are still some questions, but we don't know an answer to them, or I'm sure we don't want to answer them. So I'm not even posting them for you.
They are not being relayed on the big screen. Okay. Do you plan on touring more around Europe and possibly more the world with your SCS Sim trailer in the next few years? Well, the Sim trailer, it's still kind of a beta of the possible vision. We gave it a try with the buying the shipping container and building the Sims into it. For now, the crew, the SCS on the road crew, is very much busy with the commitment we have already made to tour Europe. I don't know if you recall the calendar. This weekend, our crew, they're already on the way. Starting Friday, they will be at the famous Nürburgring race circuit in Germany. Then we have some more destinations in the calendar. There will be Poland, the Netherlands, Spain, Hungary,
Slovakia.
We were at Hungary. Slovakia will be our own Czech Republic.
Maybe some Spain.
Spain is the wrap-up of the season. We'll be, I think, actually twice in Poland this year, because we'll be in the Opole Truck Fest and then on Warsaw Game Week. There's also some game show locally in Prague where we may want to invite our local fan community.
Yeah.
So a lot of places for now. In principle, the way we built the shipping container, we kept the structural integrity intact. Even though there is this huge door in the side, we can still put it on a crane or ship it on a shipping container ship. But that's a theory. In practice, we would probably be very careful about the sensitive stuff inside. There is discussion that if this experiment with touring Europe proves worthy, if it can help us gain or raise more interest from manufacturers, from the industry, bring us more contacts, bring us more friends across the industry that will help us with their expertise and with their licenses. So if this looks very promising and very fruitful, that may be an inspiration for trying to repeat that somehow in the US or in Northern America. For now, unfortunately for the next year, for sure, we are not in that position yet. We'll have to gather the data from this season, think about it hard, and then the next year we may adjust the plans or we may grow our ambition. For now, we are very busy just touring Central Europe, or maybe daring as far as Spain. But really, you have to realize that the sim trailer is attached to a sim truck and the real truck, and the real truck has some very tough speed limits imposed on it on most European highways. So when we go to a place like Italy or Spain, we may spend 4 days on the road getting there and back. So we are not able to do back-to-back weekends for various events. We have to always reserve some time for the trailer to travel. Meanwhile, the crew, some of them would follow the big trailer. Some of them will fly back to Prague and join another event. We do some rotation in the team so that not everybody is having to travel everywhere all the time. Sometimes we invite kind of guests from the other specialties in the company, like sometimes map designers or vehicle team guys will join the crew. We also have 2 major peaks of the season. The first one is the biggest European games show, Gamescom in Germany. The other major event, it happens to be again in Germany, is called IAA. It's the biggest transportation industry show in Europe. It's held every 2 years, and we want to be there, so we'll be in Hanover. I think it's October time in Hanover at the IAA. So this is a very, very big show, and it lasts, I think, over a week. The show is held for multiple days, so this is going to be quite a drain for the team. So a lot of places to go, pretty much full calendar until like December. Then through the winter we would probably be parked somewhere safe and somewhere reasonably warm. And then the next season will be planned only once we are finished with this one.
Yeah, the CS trailer question. I think it goes both for ATS and Eurotruck Simulator 2.
In ATS trailer?
SCS trailer.
Or sim trailer, if we are putting it in the game or not.
There is some thinking if we should. I've seen it in a mod, but if we should implement it ourselves for some event or some gameplay feature, we are looking into it. We are not making any promises. We are looking into it. I'm reading something that's not a comment, or that's not a question, but it's a very nice comment. Thank you for everything you do for us. Great work and wonderful games. Greetings from Germany and the best wishes. Thanks a lot, Dankeschön. Dankeschön. We try really hard. You see, we try hard to grab great people for the team making these games. We try hard to show you the stuff as much as we can through the blog and social media, and now even streams, YouTube videos. We try to make ourselves accessible and available to you by going to places. So thanks for your support, thanks for your loyalty, and we'll definitely raise the bar again, and we'll be trying even harder with more time, more people, better tools, better engine, improvements in the engine. All that is still being put, a lot of love is poured into the games, so expect more from us.
Timmy, can you please scroll down the questions, because there was an interesting one I wanted to answer.
Oh, which?
About the about the layouts of the cities.
Yeah, wait. Oh, I could just remove this. Yeah.
Yeah, scroll it down.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. How do you decide on the layout of the new cities? Do you make decisions as a team, or is there a lot of freedom for an individual map designer? By the way, I love Albuquerque. Thanks for this question. Basically, there are some, I would say, rules or something you need to respect when you do a layout of the city. There are some roads, like interstate roads, or important places like truck stops we cannot just skip. First, in Albuquerque it was, I think, very clear, because it's a crossing of 2 freeways, the Interstate 25 and Interstate 40. There were many options. those two freeways just needed to be there, and the guy who did Albuquerque did it mostly by himself, but we helped him at the end because there were some issues with performance. In the end, the junction in the middle of Albuquerque was kind of issue because from the top floor of the junction you could see whole city, you know. So it was a lot of work on optimizing and stuff.
Well,
So whole team was.
If I can chip in, Albuquerque from management point of view, it was a big nightmare
Yeah.
because we saw the map team dive into it full of confidence that they can pull it off, but they asked for more time and more time and more time and more cooperation from the programmers to pull it off because it was a really technically really challenging intersection, a really challenging city. And we gave the team the time they needed. Ultimately, the programmers came with some suggestions. Everybody was drawing on some previous optimization tricks to make it work. And it's a fantastic looking intersection with all the lights in the night. And it's something that we very much hope not to repeat, though. The nerve-wracking experience of waiting for this to be finalized. And that's why I was mentioning a few whiles ago the city of Portland, because the city of Portland is quite a challenge. The way that the kind of the geography of the city dictates the features that we have to have in the game. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a good portrayal of the city. The bridges and the features we want to have in the game from the city makes it really a challenge, not necessarily a nightmare, but quite a tough challenge for the map team. So once again, we are revisiting the city with a committee that looks at the stuff under construction in progress and that advises on what we can or cannot or should not afford or should avoid, what risk we should mitigate. So these situations will inevitably repeat as we try to be more and more realistic. It's the same for the European team, it's the same for the American team. I think big agglomerations like Seattle or Madrid or St. Petersburg or you name them, the big cities that are some way still ahead of us, but that we are already discussing informally now, are putting a whole new level of challenge for us, because the density of the content in a big city is much higher than it is in the open terrain, in the open world, and we have to cope with it somehow. We have to deal with it. We have to make a lot of tricks, a lot of simplifications in the further distanced objects compared to what we can afford in region like this.
Yeah, but sometimes the big cities are more comfortable to work with, because you can cut the scenes from themselves. Like the small city brings different kind of problems, and also the big city brings different kinds of problems. But in the small city, you see everything in one scene because it's like everything is together. That's why we really try to sophisticate the layout of the big cities, because it's a key to be successful at the end with the optimizing and finalization.